Behind Finland's facade of snowy winters, saunas, exceptional healthcare and economic success lies a nation facing a serious crisis. Positioned once again at the front lines of a geopolitical standoff with Russia, Finland is also facing an existential threat at home, with a rapidly falling birth rate that endangers its stability, its economy, and its very existence. This crisis, though, is not only a threat to Finland, but also the security of Europe and the Western world. Welcome to Living History. Located on the eastern edge of Europe, Finland's history of territorial concessions to Russia during past conflicts has nurtured a deep-seated distrust towards its eastern neighbor. Yet, this adversity has also forged a powerful sense of national pride and resilience. The importance of preserving Finnish culture, values, and a robust military remain deeply ingrained in the national consciousness, and this was evident in the recent presidential elections. Finland's political landscape shifted dramatically with the surprise comeback of former Prime Minister Alexander Stubb, a member of the centre-right National Coalition Party, who triumphed over Pekka Haavisto of the Green Party. Stubb's decision to re-enter politics after 7 years was deeply influenced by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and he won on a platform of bolstering efforts against the Kremlin, and rumour has it, potentially even allowing nuclear weapons to be based in Finland. This change of tact also reflects Finland's unwavering commitment to defending its sovereignty and fostering closer ties with its Western allies in the face of Russia's growing aggression. As Finland's new president, Stubb is expected to play a crucial role in shaping the country's foreign policy and navigating the complex geopolitical landscape with a firm hand towards Russia. But to understand just how much Finland hates and distrusts Russia, just consider this. Although not aligned with Nazi Germany, Finland actually fought alongside the Nazis during World War II against the Soviet Union to reclaim land that had been ceded to the Soviets as a result of the 1940 Winter War. Talk about a deal with the devil. This Continuation War, as it was aptly named, was marked by fierce battles fought across Finland's eastern border, with Finnish troops launching offensives to regain control of lost territories, including Karelia. Despite initial successes, the Finnish army faced challenges against the overwhelming might of the Soviet forces, and as the tide of war turned against the Axis powers, Finland was forced to sign the Moscow Armistice with the Soviets in 1944, which resulted in, you guessed it, even more territorial concessions to the Soviet Union. No wonder then that today, Finland is once again anxious as Russia's actions in Crimea and eastern Ukraine echo its own experience of territorial losses. This unease is a crucial aspect of Finland's recent shift in stance towards NATO. Here is the interesting thing, though. Despite its experiences with Russia, Finland chose not to pursue NATO membership after World War II, a period when the alliance was established in 1949 as a means to ensure collective security for the US, UK, Canada, and several Western European nations against the Soviet Union. But why, you might ask? Remember the Continuation War? Well, after the armistice with the Soviets, Finland also signed the Paris Peace Treaty in 1947. Provisions of the treaty included a commitment to maintain neutrality and not entering into any military alliances such as NATO. In turn, this kept Finland-Russia post-war relations relatively stable. That is, until recently. But before we consider why Finland has dramatically U-turned on its neutrality policies, let's first consider how Finland's post-war neutrality impacted its quality of life and population, because this is a really important piece of the puzzle. Through careful navigation of its foreign and defense policies, Finland has been able to maintain security, happiness, and regional safety by reducing the risk of hostilities. At the same time, this created an ideal environment for raising families, which led to a post-war boom in birth rates. For decades, Finland has been able to safeguard its future through a flourishing society. With a birth rate at a comfortable 2.72 children per woman in 1960, things were good. But now, as its population ages with a life expectancy over 82 and a birth rate that continues to fall, dropping to a worrying rate of 1.37 children per woman in 2020, there is serious concern about the long-term sustainability and security of the nation. At the same time, the Russian threat is back. The annexation of Crimea in 2014 and ongoing violation of Ukraine's sovereignty has raised serious security concerns in Finland. Given its proximity, the potential spillover has an impact on regional stability, and Finland's personal experience with Russian aggression means it had to take drastic measures to protect itself, as its post-war neutrality no longer guarantees safety. However, here is where things take a turn for the worse, as a dwindling birth rate not only jeopardizes the preservation of a vibrant culture, but also emerges as a menacing threat to Finland's ability to defend itself. With a standing army of only 24,000 and a required wartime force of up to 280,000, the demographic imbalance stands as a critical challenge, casting a shadow over the nation's military and national defense capabilities. And Finland knows it. So, in April 2023, a little over a year after Russia invaded Ukraine, Finland became a NATO member, effectively abandoning its neutrality. It has also increased cooperation with neighboring Nordic and Baltic countries to further enhance its defense capabilities. But how did Finland's demographics change so drastically? 20 years ago, it seemed to have the perfect model: world-class maternity care, preschool childcare, and generous support for parental leave meant the birth rate was rising. It was a framework that many other countries looked to for their own models. Oh, but how things have changed. Until recently, falling birth rates were mainly caused by families having fewer children, but now it is actually childlessness. In Finland, 3/4 of the recent decline is linked to people who have no children. Through a combination of high living costs, prioritizing careers and education, changing social values, and challenging work-life balance, an entire generation of Finns is delaying or deciding against having children entirely. On top of that, Finland's population is aging, with a steadily rising proportion of elderly citizens relative to the working-age population. This leaves a huge, rising gap in the workplace of key industries like engineering, renewable energy, and mining, damaging essential economic sectors that are dependent on a robust labor force. And while encouraging a larger immigrant workforce may seem like a solution, it actually isn't a sustainable answer to a society that is choosing to become childless. Family-friendly policies like generous parental leave and subsidized healthcare, financial incentives like child allowance, and public awareness campaigns have all been implemented to support parents and encourage a new generation to have more children. But are these measures enough to counter the wave of demographic decline? More women pursuing career opportunities and having children later in life, rising living costs in housing, education, and healthcare, and a large-scale cultural shift towards smaller families still continue to contribute to the declining birth rate. These are larger social issues that will take years to reform, time that Finland may not have. Today, with the threat of Russia looming once again, Finland may struggle to build a military defense to protect its borders, with over 20% of its population now over 65. And of course, it is unlikely that Russia would fall for or use the same tactics as during the Winter War. And just on cue, recently uncovered Kremlin documents reveal Russia's ambitious coordinated plans to reach into the Baltic countries of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. According to these documents, one objective is to exploit pro-Russian forces and organizations already present in the Baltics to its advantage, push Russian propaganda, language, and culture, and stop NATO's influence in the region. In fact, in a recent article in The Economist, Estonian intelligence services were quoted as saying that Russia is preparing for war with NATO in the next 10 years. As such an escalation would likely involve Finland's southern neighbors. Not only is the threat of Russia moving in closer, but Finland may again find itself surrounded by Russian aggression and at risk of invasion. So far, Finland has managed to balance its delicate relationship with Russia, but this could change rapidly, with implications for the region and NATO itself. For more on the challenges facing Europe, check out our next video linked here. See you there.